Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am your 38th favorite dad in the family community, Papa West, Jacob West, and I am here for another great late TV fight. Those of y'all watching don't know what late TV fight is. Pretty much, it's where we yell about TV shows, stuff on TV, and not the fake news. Whether it's fake or not, it's your opinion. It's just your opinion, man. You believe what you want to believe. And I have two great gentlemen with me ready to fight it out. Now, normally they're on the bottom, but this is not Alan versus Ryan. There's a little bit of a difference here. I don't know how to feel about this. I actually have the two guys beside me going to yell at each other instead of the people below me. This is weird. I don't like change. Can we stop this? No, we'll just have to deal with it. All right, so I have two gentlemen ready to take it on. First is everyone's favorite New Zealander, this guy right here, Malcolm Goldilay. Malcolm, the man who did so much better of a job running late TV fight than me, gave me the impossible job of taking over this. How are you feeling coming back to the world of late TV fights?
I'm feeling good. Just sort of waiting in the rings. But yeah, I'm just confident, and whatever happens, happens.
All right. And this is our unfortunate second place finishers bracket, because I don't like calling it a loser's bracket, even though I hate stupid participation trophies. Right now, you are currently sitting 0-1, but do you think you can beat Matty G today and hit 500?
I'm pretty confident I can beat him. I'm really confident in at least one of the questions. The others are sort of up in the air.
All right, pretty confident coming out of that corner. And in the other corner, that side, I have these directions on point right now. In 5 minutes, that will change, though. I have my partner in crime, Matty G, my fellow Viking Raider, my fellow Rebellion member, my fellow whatever else you wanna say. Matty G, how are you doing today?
I'm one drink in, starting to go in two, so this is going to be interesting. Like Malcolm said, I'm pretty sure on at least one of the questions. One of them, maybe not so much, but this is going to be fun. Malcolm and I have been around these leagues for a while, and he's seen me play, and I've seen him play.
All right, and I'm going to pose to you the same question that I just asked Malcolm. You're currently sitting at 0-1, but your only loss is against the current champion, Joe Fairley. Do you think that you can turn the tables today and get that win?
And I want to point out to that loss too went to speed round, so let's add that to it too. And I got a point on a question I had never seen before. Thanks, Malcolm. Yeah, you're damn right. I'm gonna beat him.
Whoa! All right, confidence coming out of both corners. All I can say is one of these gentlemen is lying, and it is our job to find out who is lying. So with me today, I have two great judges to help me solve this conundrum. Right below me and to that side is the Carmel Mountain himself, Ryan Payne. Ryan, we can currently see you, which is great. How are you doing right now?
I'm pretty good. Just counting. I'm just like mentally counting down when the power is going to go out in my spot again. Hell, I deserved an early bedtime anyway. But I'm good. And Matt, I do share your also unfavorable loss to Joe Fairley, also in a speed round. But that match is here nor say.
I just want to ask, what the hell? Who whooped your ass?
Oh, you know what? You know how it goes down now that with quarantine, you go to a grocery store. Next thing you know, you come back with scrapes and cuts. Apparently that toilet paper hype has not gone down. So people are just like, give me that 2-ply. No, I need that 36 pack.
And that's why I'm glad I live in a town of 3,000 people. And on the other side is Dr. Spaceman. Normally everyone's favorite guy who's on the other side of an ocean. Unfortunately, we cannot say that right now because you're not the only one on the other side of an ocean right now. But still, number one in my heart's in something. So that's got to count for something. Dr. Spaceman, Alan Shepard. Alan, how are you doing today?
I'm feeling so much better now, Papa, that you made that. Oh, thank you, thank you. I'm excited to be here with full power, knock on wood, and no cuts and bruises yet until, the kids yell at me for being on here too much. But I'm happy to be here. I'm really excited to see these two brothers throw down.
All right. Well, with that, let's get into it. And before we start, you might be asking yourself, Jacob, you just said that Matty's like one of your favorite people. How are you going to judge this fairly? Don't worry, my Cash App is still sitting at a $0 balance, so I have no favorites. And that's the way it goes. So without further ado, let's get into this. The way late TV fights work is I give each competitor 4 questions that they give us answers that they prep for. 2 of them are based on a TV show that they want to use as a strength. Each question is going to be broken up into 3 different rounds. The first round is a 90-second opening. This is where you tell us what your answer is, why you picked that as your answer. Whatever else you want to do, it's your 90 seconds. Do with it what you will. Next is a 5-minute free-form debate. This is 5 minutes where you are allowed to form your debate freely. You can do whatever you want, talk to each other, tell them why their pick's wrong, tell them why your pick's right. The only thing we ask is you do not talk over each other. We are all friends here. We don't hate each other yet. So please do not start that now. And then the last round is a 60-second close. This is your final 60 seconds to sell us on why your answer is the correct answer. After that, we will go on to the judging. Whoever gets 2 points wins, or whoever gets 2 votes wins the point. First person to 3 points wins. Now, I know what you're asking, Jacob. You said that there are 4 questions. First to 3. Well, what if they split 2-2? No one's out of 3. Who's gonna win? Plain and simple. I hate participation trophies, even though I also hate the word losers bracket. I don't know. I'm a confusing guy sometimes. If the off chance we go 2-2, we will get into a speed round, which I will talk about later. And then I do want to let you know we have 2 rules in the late TV fight world. First one is the timeout rule. If y'all are talking over each other, the judges cannot hear what's going on. We cannot give you points against your argument, against the other person's argument. So if there's a lot of talking back and forth or talking over each other, I will call timeout. This is 10 seconds where the time starts running, keeps running, but you're not able to talk, so we lose 10 seconds. So please don't do it. It's just a waste. And also, I have kids. My patience is at an all-time low right now, so I will use it. Don't push me. Just for that, I might just go ahead and call timeout right now. No, I'm kidding. I'm not there yet. And then the second rule is the 1-minute extension. Ha, honey, I don't need you to remind me of this one this time. Throughout your argument, in either your opening or your closing, if you let me know you have 1 use to where you can add a minute to your time just to get a couple nails in that coffin. The only thing I ask is you do let me know either before your argument or like right at the very beginning. If you're right at like the end, like, hey, can I use my 1-minute extension? That's too late. I do need to know before you start that you want to use that. But now that we have all the rules down, let's get into question number 1, which comes in the category of Glee. What is the best cover performance of the Glee series? Malcolm, this was your strength, so we are going to have you start. 90 seconds on the clock, if I can get my phone working in time to... There we go. 90 seconds on the clock. Time starts when you start talking.
The best cover performance in the Glee series is Rachel's performance of Make Me Feel Your Love in the season episode called The Quarterback. This was a very emotional episode all up, but this performance really showed Rachel's range and sort of how much she can do, and it had a lot of heart because The Quarterback was about the death of Finn Hudson, who Leah Michelle had dated the actor as well as the character. So this song had a lot of emotion to it, and you can definitely feel that in this. But I'll talk more about it in the main round.
All right, so Malcolm's starting this off, and this is also a good thing to say. At any time during your opening or your closing, you do not have to use your full time. If you choose to concede the rest of your time, please let us know that you are conceding the rest of your time, because if you don't, we will sit here in silence, and that is not fun. Don't be that guy. All right, so Malcolm's starting us off with Make Me Feel Your Love. Matt, 90 seconds on the clock. Time starts when you start talking.
You think life's going to be peachy keen, but from time to time it's not. It's hard. You face obstacles you didn't expect you were going to face. And then when Rachel got to New York and started fumbling, she thought about quitting. But then when stuff started to rebuild in the series finale, she sang Don't Stop Believing. And you could feel the emotion and the power from that life was turning around. And I'm going to concede time right there. Before the shit screws up again.
Well, you already passed the 30 seconds, and it hadn't gone through yet, so it's looking good now. We'll see how it goes. All right. So
I can see Malcolm already liking his chops.
Make Me Feel Your Love versus Don't Stop Believing. Two great performances in this song, but let's see which one is the best. 5 minutes on the clock. Time starts when someone starts talking.
Yeah, congratulations. You picked the most cliche song from Glee. Don't Stop Believing it's been done 6 times, and you didn't even pick the best version of the song that was done. Make Me Feel Your Love is got all the heart in it with spades. I mean, she's basically singing about her real life partner that died. So I mean, that heart is there. Well, I'll give you the heart was there. Don't Stop Believing, but that once again, that's not the best version of that song.
But okay, look at what's going on in the world today. You have the world is falling apart, and unfortunately, people are losing grasp on reality, just like she was then. So the song like Don't Stop Believing is that you need to keep pushing yourself, whether you're down or you're up. There's people, I mean, she got there. She thought she was going to just run over New York. She was going to be at the top of the town. Now, for yours, yes, she was singing about her dead partner in real life, but that was real life. This is the show. Yes, he died in the show. But without that, she wouldn't have had the journey to get to the Don't Stop Believing she sang in my ending.
Yes. I mean, well, Don't Stop Believing is a very inspirational song, but we're talking about the best cover performance, not the best inspirational song. Make You Feel Love is the best cover because she's using that heart from her and talking about Finn, who in the show she was with, and at the time of your quarterback, she had just recently sort of reconciled with and had got back together, and she used all that to fuel her performance. Well, yes, it was a real life partner, but in the show she was also with that thing, and all that heart came out in the way she sang, and you could tell that the emotion was there in the song, and that's why it was one of the best covers.
Yeah, but you got to look at it like this, though. I mean, there's been other love stories that covered death in the previous, and this was a TV show. It was filmed prior to his death. So you can't make the argument that his actual real life death triggered that, because you can't tell me for sure when they filmed that to when he died. She was acting. And you have to look at, but if you look at people, you take other movies instance, Life is Beautiful. The main character is on his way to be executed, and yet everybody knows, and he's still putting on the performance of the jokester to his son. So using the fact that he died in real life shouldn't count, because of the fact that you don't know exactly when they filmed that to when he died.
Actually, the episode of The Quarterback was filmed after Finn had died, because the episode wouldn't have existed if Corey Monteith hadn't died. Because that they, and so I've been involved looking at the backstage stuff ever since Glee was on, and they had written this episode specifically because Corey Monteith died, because they had a whole storyline for Finn planned for seasons 5 and 6, which they had to scrap because he died.
Okay, so he died in real life, but she's still acting. Yes, she may be pulling from real life for it, but she's still acting. I will give her credit. In your song, it's the heart, but in mine, it's the emotion, the fact that I have come this way and I am strong enough to continue to fight and push forward. And without that song, the finale kind of falls flat.
You could take Don't Stop Believing out of the finale and it'll still work. It's still a great finale. Once again, it's been done better in other episodes of the show, and the question is, was the best cover performance, and Make You Feel Love fits that because she's using her real life emotion to put her heart and soul into that performance.
Time. All right. As we move into that 1 minute closing, since we start off with Malcolm, Matt, you're going to start us off. 60 seconds on the clock. Time starts when you start talking.
The first time I left home, I fumbled. I couldn't find a job. I couldn't keep my place going. And I started to lose my grasp. Just like Rachel was in Don't Stop Believing. You feel the power, the strength that I am overcoming this and I'm coming back. Yes, in yours, it is the emotion of the death of Finn. But it was acting. You could take Meryl Streep or any other person who can sing, whoever you choose, and put them in the same role, and you would get the same reaction. So just because she's using real life for it doesn't mean it makes it better. In mine, you look at the coronavirus, you look at people that are struggling with their kids. Kids are out of school, and you have to don't stop believing. So the fact that she is continuing to push and push and push makes it even better. And I'm going to concede.
Conceding your 5 seconds. All right.
Glee.
Malcolm, we are moving on to you. 60 seconds on the clock. Time starts when you start talking. But just to let you know, you are muted. So if you are about to say something, we cannot hear you.
I mean, newsflash, Blair Michelle's an actor. She was acting in your song too. So, I mean, you can use that whole argument against my song, but I can turn it on you quite easily. But Don't Stop Believing has been done better times in the other times it's been sung. Make You Feel Love is a beautiful cover song, and it's fueled by her real emotions. When she's singing about the same character. And it's a really beautiful song. The question is rooted, what is the best cover song? Not what is the best song that is a good inspiration in the Glee. And Don't Stop Believing has been done better in other times. The one in the finale is a lot weaker. I'll concede my last second.
You had no time to concede. I don't want to hear it, Malcolm. All right. Great first question to start this off. I am just disappointed that no one sang their song, because that would have been bonus points in my book. So as we move on to the judging, I'm going to go ahead and start off with Ryan. I can see you are in deep thought. So bring that deep thought out and tell us who gets your point and why.
Well, not much deep thought here. I grew up hating the show, so believe me, it's not going to factor into my choice. Well, it definitely sounds like they did have great choices here, but I found one big commonality that seemed to, from an objective standpoint, that would hurt both of them. It was the main focus on the actor who played Finn and also the character played by Leah Michelle, if I recall. Well, I don't know the show, so she might be, of course, from Matt's argument, it is her story and why he picked the song. I'm not going to detract from both you guys. It's just of course, from looking from an objective point, I'm always, when you hear about Glee, you're always hearing a lot about the ensemble cast most of the time. And so when the fact that the ensemble cast wasn't brought in, it definitely hurt both of you guys to where most of you weren't really trying to attack each other on where the ensemble cast plays in. But that being said, focusing on in, this was a tale of two different choices here. Matt chose one that was about inspiration, about relatability, and also about perseverance in the spirit of character, while Malcolm's, pretty much he was explaining it was about a cover song and the story that surrounds it. Although Matt, when you started attacking Malcolm about the ramifications of the actor's death and how it may have affected or did not affect the overall outcome of the song, definitely gave you a point, but then Malcolm hit you right back. And I think it was attacking that little pin didn't leave you much open opportunity to attack other bits of his song. And while Malcolm was being on defense a lot, he was able to rebound a lot more. And by the end of it, he did say it is about the best cover song, not about the best inspirational song. And I didn't even hear much about the singing aspects of it itself. So I'm going to go with Malcolm on this one.
All right. So Malcolm getting the first vote. Alan, we are moving on to you. Who gets your vote and why?
Living with a musical theater performer, and a fan of this show, my wife, I immediately remember both of these versions of these songs. Like Ryan, I didn't actually like the show myself, but I was forced to listen to it at least every night that it was on. I like both the choices are good, but Malcolm really hit you hard, Matty, with that it wasn't even the best version of that song. And I think if you would have hit that more, I mean, you talked about why it was more emotional for Rachel, for her, but you didn't really counter why it wasn't, that version was the best for, any other reason other than just the fact that she was really emotional and you related to that. And again, with that, it isn't about inspirational song, it's about best cover. And there was, 4 or 5 different versions of that song that you chose in the show itself. And I didn't hear any reason about why that one stood out within the show, the context of the show, other than how it related to you personally. So I'm going to go with Malcolm as well.
All right. So with that, Malcolm getting the first vote, or the first vote. You got 2 votes. Silly words,
comment,
Jacob.
I've never watched an entire episode of Glee, so I had to pull a rabbit out of my ass.
All right.
Well, good job on that then.
That is 75% of every debate in this league, that's for sure. A good 10%.
Real original, Matt. Real original. Because my opinion doesn't matter, but I love opinions. I, too, was leaning towards Malcolm. Alan hit it on the head. Malcolm's words exactly. There have been 6 different versions of Don't Stop Believing, and there's so many better than what Matt picked that Matt just did not counter at all. And then the whole Matt saying that it's all acting, Malcolm hit it in the closing. It's all acting, so if you're going to use that, I'll use it against you. Still a great first round, though. Malcolm gets the first point. So let's move on to question number 2, which comes in Matt's strength of True Blood. What is the worst moment of True Blood? Matt, this is your strength. You have 90 seconds on the clock. Time starts when you start talking.
Now, True Blood had ups and downs throughout the entire series. You had key points, Russell Edgington being the vicious vampire that wants to take over the world. You had Steve Newland, the anti church. He was the church leader that was anti-vampire, anti-gay, that tried to turn Jason Stackhouse against him. So my moment, keyword moment, is a return of both Steve Newland and Russell Edgington when they both come out as gay, flamboyant vampires. That right there actually retcons the entire Steve Newland story that had already been told with him and his church. So that right there defunks or retcons exactly everything that they had already set up. Now he's a vampire and he's flamboyant, which right there breaks two of his church, the Church of the Light's commandments. So I'm going to concede my time right there.
All right, conceding the rest of his time. Malcolm, we are moving on to you. 90 seconds on the clock. Time starts when you start talking.
A moment can be defined as, in the relation to storyline, in relation to TV series, as a storyline that has a connected theme or just a singular moment. Which is why I picked the most problematic storyline they've done on True Blood, and that's the Were Panther storyline, in which it is a bunch of rape, incest, a whole bunch of ridiculous stuff which should not really be shown on TV at all. And I can see the rest of my time.
All right, also conceding the rest of his time. We have the Were Panthers, where there's a lot of rape and other stuff, versus the flamboyant gay vampires. I don't know about y'all, but this sounds like a lot of fun. 5 minutes. Let's battle it out.
So you say that the Were Panthers is the worst part because of the gay and the incest. Guess what? The entire show takes place in the backwoods of Louisiana. So there are people like that. Plus, that also, if you want to take that part, you also have to look past it to the Jason Stackhouse storyline, which connects to it because he becomes the leader of the pack. Him and his wife and their kids become the leader of the pack and the family. You take that part, and then you look at Russell Edgington, who in the previous seasons wanted to rule the world. First, he started with the vampire world. Then he moved into the human world. And then you have Steve Newland, the Bible-banking, anti-vampire church person, who they return as flamboyant, wannabe taking over their characters. So not only does it retcon everything that they did with Steve Newland, it changes the dynamic of Russell Edgington.
There's nothing wrong with flamboyant vampires. Everyone loves. A lot of people do love the Twilight movies, and that's basically the same thing. And it's just one of those ones when you've got a whole storyline involved with rape and incest. There's only so much you can handle with that. If it was for a couple of episodes, fine, but this arc went on a lot longer than just a couple of episodes. They dragged it out. It's one of those things that it's just a really terrible thing. It's once again, it's just one of those kind of things which is always one of those rough storylines regardless, even though it may happen in real life. I am not disputing that at all, but sometimes people watch TV to get away from real life. So yeah,
it's a fantasy show. It is about vampires and werewolves and people that turn into panthers. So why wouldn't it what makes it different that it involves rape and incest? You look at TV and movies, there's rape in it all the time. Law and Order SVU, there's a rape every single week. This storyline is about a family. You take Jason Stackhouse, he was the most flamboyant. All he gave a shit about was getting pussy in his bed and throwing it out. But he went from that to the church banging anti-vampire Jason that connects to Steve Newland and the brain manipulation that he was getting from them, and the shit that was being caused by Russell Edgington at the same time. And you go further down the line, they bring Jason into the family. He actually puts the family first. He was a cop at the time and put his badge down to protect that family because he made a promise to the leader of the pack to protect everyone.
Yes, but with that whole return thing, it shows that when people become vampires, they change. You may say it retcons their whole storyline, but when people become vampires, a lot of times people can change their personalities when they turn evil. It's not any different in other fantasy things. But
So
I mean,
okay, I want to go back to something you brought up, though. You brought in Twilight. Let's look at that. It is a love story between a human and a vampire. You said it's the same thing as that. It really isn't. It is about, she was a female who really needed to be on some antipsychotic drugs and fell in love, and that changed her life. The only parallel you can make with that and what happened with Jason and the Werepanthers is that he fell in love with somebody and it changed their life. This one, mine, takes the entire storyline of season 3 and the fact that Jason went to Steve became this hard, I'm going to go kill the entire vampires because of the bullshit that was being put into his head by Steve to, you know what, I was wrong. Vampires are good.
yeah, I'll just leave the time right out.
Family first.
Time. All right.
I love True Blood.
As we move on to the 60-second closing, Matt, this was your strength. You started us off, so Malcolm, we will start off with you. 60 seconds on the clock. Time starts when you start talking.
Look, the Red Panther story, I'm probably going to end up repeating myself, but the Red Panther storyline is a terrible idea for a storyline. I mean, the fact that it was dragged out as long as it did with a whole storyline being about rape and incest in a cult, well, is fake. I mean, if it was 2 episodes, fine. That is just a small arc, but they dragged it out a lot longer than that, and that is to the point of ridiculous. And I can see the rest of my time.
All right, conceding the rest of his time. Matt, you have 60 seconds on the clock to close out this argument. Time starts when you start talking.
Rape and incest is the small part of this. They are a family. They had a matriarch who died. He asked Jason Stackhouse to continue that storyline, or to continue protecting the family. He did. It completely changed his character from a male chauvinist pig to a family man. And in the final scene of the movie or the show, you see Jason, his wife, and their kids. To Steve and Russell Edgington, they completely retconned both of them. Yes, in the beginning, Russell was gay, but he was out for blood. He wanted the vampire race to take over, just as Magneto and the X-Men did. Steve Newland, on the other hand, wanted the vampires taken out. He ran a church called the Church of the Light. They had full artillery for a militia to go after the vampires. When they came back, they were both flamboyant. They were total opposites of their characters that had become them.
Time. All right, Alan, move in. Starting off with you on the judging. Please tell us who gets your vote and why.
Honestly, both y'all, this just makes me happy. I stopped after 5 episodes of this show. The only character I can remember is Lafayette. That's it. Okay, so
spoiler, he died.
oh, great. Both, I mean, were good arguments, but it was worst moment, and both had story arcs, that moment kind of stretches out. So I'm gonna go with Malcolm because he talked more about stretching out a moment that was unnecessary. I mean, that's as concise as I can make it.
Definitely. All right. So first vote going to Malcolm. We're going to move on to me. And I heard a lot of why the other person's moment was better, but I didn't hear a lot of y'all countering. For instance, Malcolm was saying that, in his moment, there's all the incest and rape. And Matt's like, well, incest and rape's the show. It's backwoods of Louisiana. I can attest, as living in the South for a while, there are some states that there's a lot of rape and incest, and Louisiana is one of them. But we do not judge here at TMG Entertainment, so I'm not judging anyone. You didn't do it. But then, Malcolm, I love how you brought up the point where Matt was leaning heavily on that moment that he picked. You had one person have a character arc, and then it immediately flipped and it retconned. And you were saying, it's not really a retcon. It's he changes his personality, and it's a full change of character. And I didn't hear a lot of y'all countering those points that were made against your show. So it's really tough for me. The only thing I'm going to base this off of is one person gave me why their opponent's moments actually had some redeeming qualities. So, Matt, you're going to get this point simply on the fact of you were able to talk how that one guy has a redeeming quality. I already forgot his name. I know his last name's Stackhouse. I want to call him Jerry Stackhouse, but I know it's not Jerry. That's a basketball player.
Jason.
I knew it was a J. Just for the simple fact of you could show that moment there was some redeeming quality to it with that character arc. I'm gonna give you the point, and I'm gonna give you my vote on this one. So Ryan, we are at a standstill right now. Please tell us who gets your vote and who gets the point.
To paraphrase a wrestler who hated a title belt I presented to him, this physically hurts my soul. I don't like True Blood. I can't stand True Blood. I tried to understand True Blood and its appeal. And personally, the show physically felt like it raped my soul and my body and my eyes just by watching it. My personal feelings out of the way. Matt gets the point because he did more to counter Malcolm's choice of the Were-Panther subplot. And if Malcolm had gotten more details out of the Were-Panther subplot instead of the rape and incest and other moments that happened within that arc, they themselves could have worked as better counters to Matt's whole story opinion. And also, when Matt was talking about how Russell and that priest were turned into different characters, you did have that good point of how when people are turned into vampires, they change. That worked for Steve, but you didn't talk about how Russell becoming less, I don't know, maniacal, less egotistical, less Nazi-ish, however his character. I remember his character was a Nazi. Yeah, if you had talked about how his character was less that in the later season, then maybe you guys could have worked in both. I just wanted this part to be over. I didn't want to make this decision, but Matt still gets the point.
All right, so Matt tying it up as we move on to question number 3. And right now, a lot of us are stuck at home, so we're doing a lot of streaming. So I have a very simple question for you. What is the best streaming service out right now? Malcolm, we're going to start off with you. 90 seconds on the clock. Time starts when you start talking.
This was pretty easy for me. I went with Disney Plus. This is one of this streaming service that you've got. If you're studying for movie trivia competitions, especially if you're studying in geek, you've got all your Marvel shows. You've got Star Wars. You've got all the Disney shows for fandom. So you've got a lot of good study material there. But that aside, Disney Plus is in almost every country now. I think it's just come out in the UK. But that aside, that's why I picked Disney Plus is the best. I concede.
All right, conceding the rest of his time. Matt, you have 90 seconds on the clock. Time starts when you start talking.
So when you think of best streaming service, you have to think of new content. You have to think of stuff that comes out daily. You have to think of, oh, I missed a show last night, and I know it's on this channel, so I can go back to the streaming service and watch it. Or I can start at season 1, episode 1 of whatever and watch all the way through. And with Hulu, you get that. You can add on premium channels. If you want Stars, HBO, Cinemax, Showtime, whatever, you can add it on. Or you can not, and they still have a collection of movies. Dropping 3 days ago was the Oscar-winning Parasite, which most people didn't get to see because it was in a limited release. So with that, new content, better add-ons, and new shows, Hulu's the best one to get. I concede.
All right, so we have Disney Plus versus Hulu, the battle of the streaming services. I got 5 minutes on the clock. Time starts when someone starts talking.
But one of the big problems with Hulu is it's only in the States. Unless you use a VPN, you can't go use it outside of the States. And that's the major thing. Disney Plus is a more global thing, and even though maybe at the time when this drops, it will be out in the other things. I don't actually know when it's coming out in the other countries. But eventually, Disney Plus will be worldwide, and it's going to be everywhere.
Okay, I want to go back to something you said in your opening. You said that you have all the Marvel movies and all the Star Wars movies. That's incorrect. As a matter of fact, if you go back and look, Disney or Netflix actually has Solo, or it has Solo. It has a couple of other ones. It also has a few of the Marvel movies. So that right there is wrong. Two, when Disney Plus dropped in New Zealand, did it have all its content? No, as a matter of fact, it didn't. Also, if it's not there, if it's a TV show, guess what? You're not getting the whole thing. You got to wait. At least with Hulu, you get various shows dropped the next day. If you miss a wrestling, whether it's AEW, WWE, or whatever, it's there the next day.
That's all well and good, but it's also one of those things. In this day and age, people like binging shows, so people may not choose to watch the shows even if it did come out the next day. Disney Plus, you've got a lot of content. If you wanted to sit down and watch a whole series of DuckTales, you could literally do that without having to wait for new episodes. But
DuckTales has already been out for a long time. See, everything that you have that you keep saying you have to binge all the way through. Guess what? Mandalorian dropped week by week. It didn't come out. The first 3 episodes came out first, and then you had to wait for a week, as is all the other Disney Plus shows. So that right there null and voids yours. Yes, it has a big back catalog, but guess what? Eventually that's going to run out. New content drops on Hulu daily. I'm going to ask you, did you get to see Parasite in theaters?
Yes, I did. It came out at wide release in New Zealand.
Okay, but here it didn't. It was in a limited release. And guess what? It dropped for everybody. You didn't have to do it. And with Disney Plus, you're limited. With Hulu, you can add on to it. So you get a bigger package, which increases the value of it.
But yes, with Disney Plus, you could in America, precisely, you could add on Hulu and make it an even bigger package. So, and then that's going to turn this whole argument null and void because I can absorb Hulu pretty easily.
Can you personally? You just said
I personally can't. Hulu's not available in New Zealand.
exactly. So that null and voids what you just said. In the States, yes, we can bundle it with other things, which then grows Hulu because then you have to have Hulu to get the bigger projects. They were talking about releasing certain shows. You want to talk about Disney releasing stuff? Guess what? They have to release certain things on Hulu because Disney won't allow it. Deadpool. Have you seen Deadpool on there? No. Have you seen the rated R stuff on there? No. How about the Fox stuff? Because Fox is owned by Disney now. 90% of the Fox stuff is on Hulu.
Yes, but when Disney Plus was released, Bob Iger did say that they will look at maybe branching out, putting some of it on Disney Plus eventually.
The PG stuff, the harder stuff, the rated R stuff will not be. He said anything over PG-13 will not be. It will be added to what? Hulu.
I did not see the arguments I've seen. I've seen Bob Iger say that they'll look at putting more adult thing on. There is such they can always, if they do that, they can add on parental locks to keep it kid friendly.
Bob Iger is not involved in Disney anymore, so everything you just said doesn't count.
Time. All right, Matt, we're going to start off with you. 60 seconds to close out this argument. Time starts when you start talking.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, because my screen locked up and I wasn't sure. Okay. Malcolm chose Disney Plus. Disney Plus is limited. When he first got it, guess what? It wasn't what it is. It had a very limited, as it still does, release. He said that if you're studying for a fandom match or whatever, you can go through and watch them all. Guess what? That's wrong because Disney has stuff put out. You can't go and watch Sky High. Why? Because Sky High is actually on a different service platform. With Hulu, you get new content daily. You get new movies. You get new stuff. You can build onto your package to grow Hulu. Hulu actually can have and rival a local TV a cable package because you can get various stuff with it. Disney is very limited. Jacob, you're going to have to do. If I'm going to stop
10.
because. Okay, thank you. Because I can't see anything. So Disney Plus is very limited. Hulu continues to build their empire and grow
5.
their. All right, I'm going to call it there.
Time. And then Malcolm do his closing while you're doing that. Okay, so Malcolm, 60 seconds to close out this argument. Time starts when you start talking.
First of all, I'll start by saying that Bob Iger was involved in Disney when Disney Plus was released, and he said that they were looking at potentially putting adult content on there eventually. Even though he's not involved now, we don't know if those plans have changed because of that. But the thing is, Hulu is only in the States. You can only get Hulu in the States. If I wanted to access Hulu, I'd need to find a VPN and all that. So that is more super limited. Disney Plus is worldwide. And also, the content of Disney Plus apparently is very different in different countries. So, because I've got Sky High, Solo, and Rogue One on Disney Plus over here. So,
Time.
Yeah.
All right, as we move on to the judging, I do have a couple quick things to fact check that I did look up while we were doing this argument. First thing, Malcolm, you made the comment that Hulu is only available in the States. That is actually false. Hulu is also available in Japan, and only Japan. I did not know that Hulu was not available everywhere else. That's good
I
to
didn't
know. You
either.
learn something new every day.
I mean, I knew it was limited, so
yeah. So it's not only in
I
the
didn't
United
know
States;
that.
it is also in Japan, but it is still very limited. And then Matt, you made the comment about wrestling's on Hulu, and you said WWE and AEW. WWE is on Hulu. AEW is not.
No. Back up. Yes, it is. If you have Hulu Live, you do get the TNT. So no, redcon that comment.
Okay, I will retcon that comment. That did not happen.
I don't think you can because you didn't mention. No, wait. Matt, you're fact checking, right? I mean, Matt didn't specify on the different levels of Hulu to add on. He was mainly just talking about Hulu in general. That wasn't brought up. So technically, the comment doesn't need to be retcon, but at the same time, it doesn't. That what you just fact checked doesn't need to be brought in as well.
Yeah.
Well, it's Hulu in general, though. I was talking Hulu in general, and I did bring up the act of adding on to it, so that should count.
So in my personal judging, I will allow it. Ryan, if you do not want to allow it, you do not have to. So I will go ahead and start with the judging on this one. And this was another very good one. Y'all both had great points that you brought up, and you both had counters. There was a lot of stuff that you didn't counter, though. But going back to the question is, what is the best streaming service right now? I'm going to have to give the slight edge to Matt. Just because, again, with it being right now, Malcolm, you were talking about a lot in the future with bringing the more adult stuff to Disney Plus in the future. A lot of the content coming in the future. You didn't solidify enough right now. I wish there were, again, a couple more comments made against Hulu with all the bundling. I mean, that's just money racking up. It's supposed to rival cable network. Well, with all those add-ons, it's getting more and more than cable. Just a couple things I wish would have been said that weren't. But again, with the question being what's the best right now, I'm going to have to give slight edge to Matt on this one with Hulu. Ryan, we're going to go ahead and go on to you. Who gets your point and why?
Mainly Malcolm's biggest, his strongest argument that Matt was able to chip at but not fully take down was the fact that Hulu is mainly restricted to the States, even though, Jacob, you did bring up the fact it's available in Japan, but it doesn't change the fact that Hulu, at least for most people, it's mainly available right here in California and like every other 50 states outside of the country. Hulu is not that hard for us to get, but for someone where Malcolm lives, that's going to be hard to grab as well. So that was a good one, Jake. But Matt did chip away at it a bit because of the fact that Disney Plus does not have much of the content. He did bring up the fact that some of the content, like some Star Wars, is available on Netflix. I didn't hear a lot of counters from Malcolm. But I think ultimately moving in, it was just having to. I mean, I'm on the same level of sentiments as you, Jacob, but part of me is leaning in the opposite direction by going with Malcolm on this one because the whole future episode, I mean, the future content is one thing, and yeah, there might not be enough proof, but the fact that Disney Plus still was able to rack in more subscribers once they fully launched over Hulu. And this was at a time when Hulu was still at like a pretty predominant stuff when it had like when it always had new content coming up, like Runaways, Handmaid's Tale, Future Man. But the fact that when Disney Plus came on, are you trying to say something?
Nothing.
Matt?
No, keep going, Ryan.
But other than my extra comments, though, I had the same feelings as you, Jacob. It's just I went the other way with Malcolm, though, because the fact is with streaming services, the general commonality is that a streaming service should be available to almost every country, especially with today's current situation.
So you're giving your vote to Malcolm?
Yeah, and I
Okay.
think Matt is fighting me on this one.
Matt is fighting you on that one.
That is.
We'll talk about that here in a second. Alan, we are at an impasse. Who gets the point?
I'm gonna keep this short and simple because I'm gonna give it to Matty because Matty brought up the two most important things to me when talking about streaming services is content, availability of new content, and the rated R, only PG. Disney won't do that kind of thing. Case in point, when I tried to watch on Disney Plus, I was super hyped that they put Splash on there, but they edited it, and that ain't right. Nah. So so I was just waiting for Matty to bring that up about the content, the editing, and the different things about no rated R. And then when he did, I went, okay, there we go. Malcolm, you did have a good fight for it, but I'm gonna give it to Matt.
One. All right, Matt getting the point, taking the 2-1 lead as we get into question number 4. This is do or die time for you, Malcolm. You have to get this to keep going to get us to the speed round. Matt, you get this one, you win. And question number 4 is, what was the ugliest tattoo from the TV show Ink Master? I have personally been on a binge of Ink Master. I've watched like 3 seasons in the past 2 weeks. So I'm addicted to it right now. And I thought, this is great because I run a TV debate league. I can bring in some Ink Master questions. So all y'all wanted to compete, study up on Ink Master. It might be coming up later on. Matt, we're going to go ahead and start off with you. You have 90 seconds on the clock to tell me what the worst, ugliest tattoo was.
When it comes to a tattoo, you have 3 basic rules. You have composition, you have layout, and you have finally getting the tattoo on. Composition means, does it look right? Is it actually what the tattoo is supposed to look like? The outline, the image itself has to look right. It can't look like a jobbled mess. If you have dark skin, you have to go a little lighter because of the ink. Placement. If it's placed wrong, it's not right. If it's a koi fish, its head needs to be pointed up and away from the armpit. But the one I chose that falls completely up from that is the baboon that was done on the chest, and it fails in all 4 of them. I'm going to stop right there and concede the rest of my time.
All right, conceding the rest of his time. Malcolm, we are going to go on to you. 90 seconds on the clock. Time starts when you start talking.
Yeah, so when this question was proposed to me, I have no idea what an Ink Master is. So I quickly Googled them to find out. And the one I ended up picking for this was the Hula Hoop Girl from whatever season it was from. That Hula Hoop Girl just looked terrible. It's one of those things which could have been good in concept, but it didn't look good. It looked like the ink had run out halfway through, and they just continued going. It just looked really unfinished. And I concede.
All right, conceding the rest of his time. I have one quick question for y'all before we get into this. And this is for the judges too. Do y'all want me to pull up the pictures so we can actually physically see them?
Yes, I want you to pull them up.
I just looked them up. Yeah.
If you didn't, I was going to share my screen and do the same thing.
That way y'all can get a visual look at how awful these things are.
Because I saw some of it in the chat, but other than that, I mean,
Malcolm says, "Yep, right there."
Can y'all can see my screen? Sweet. My phone froze up. So this is Malcolm's, the hula hoop lady.
Okay, I'm trying to get a close idea of why it's so bad. I mean, look, I'm not. I'm not a tattoo guy, so.
Um.
But this won't factor into my decision. I'm listening to your arguments.
Oh no, trust me. Keep exactly what you thought in mind. I got you. Yep, that's
And
the first one.
this is the
Okay,
baboon.
I saw that in the chat.
Yeah, can you do me a favor and blow that up just a little bit? Because to go with my argument, seeing the composition of it would really help.
Yeah.
Is this a first here for TMG that we're having a visual aid while debates are happening?
Pretty close to.
I think so.
We had one in
Oh.
GameZone recently in our GameZone tournament.
Come on. I was trying to say this is a first, never been done before, and then you just sweep and just like Ralph Macchio, you swept the leg, and now it's like, God damn you.
Okay. I'm just going to point this out real quick. Everybody, since Jacob's not going to bring it, I can't bring it up real quick. I want you to look at the bottom part of the jaw on this baboon. Just slightly would be to the right of your screen. That's his nipple. Please keep that in mind.
Here, hold on, I'm getting it.
That was a big giveaway. Okay. Okay. Now I know what you mean.
Yeah, it's great because normally I can look at my phone and make sure everything is showing right. And I can't do that right now. So can you see the baboon bigger?
It doesn't matter. I mean, I can see it.
Yeah, it's fine.
That's actually better right there.
That's better right
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
I wish you could get his and my picture side by side so we could just
I
go.
wish so too, but I can't. You're going to have to use your imagination for that one. I'm sorry.
Yes, Alan, you must use your imagination.
Come with me. And then there's the hula girl. I'll see her.
Oh, she got a nasty. Oh, okay. I see. She got a very.
Oh, so wait a minute. That's a hula girl, not a hula hoop girl.
Correct. I was gonna say that. I was gonna say that, Alan. Don't worry.
I want to. Yeah. I kind of know about hula.
Yes.
A little bit.
Homie.
And just so everyone knows, if you don't know what Ink Master is a competition between people who tattoo for a living, and they have to tattoo stuff. So the fact that this is the ugliest tattoo, these are people who did not do their job right.
That's
for
right.
at least one tattoo. All right.
And I'm sorry,
so
but
now that we have physically seen them, so the judges have a better idea of what they're judging against, of what they're arguing against. Let's go ahead and get into the 5-minute freeform debate. Time starts when someone starts talking.
Okay, your hula girl is bad, yes, but if you actually look at it, there's two. I brought up 4 points that make a good tattoo. Yours falls short on 2. That is the composition and the artist rendering. Her face is jacked up, and one of her hands is misplaced. That is a technical error that happens in Ink Master all the time. Mine, from far away, you can't really tell what it is. And with his mouth being open, his tongue looks like a nut sack. And with the composition, if you look at the tattoo, if you're going to do a tattoo on the chest, you're supposed to do it slightly high enough where the nipples aren't playing a role in it.
I'm not going to pretend I know anything about tattoos because I don't. But just looking at them, there's for it to be an ugly tattoo, it has to be something that really looks terrible. And I think the baboon looks well done, even though it may not be placed correctly. It looks like I looked at it and could tell it was a baboon.
That's up close though. From far away and across the room, it actually doesn't. And in the show, when you look at it up close, it looks like a complete blob of color. If you look at the face, it doesn't look like a baboon. It loses its. And if you look at the composition of the jaw itself, the jaw doesn't work. It doesn't sit right. Plus, with a bad tattoo, going into a spin-off that Ink Master does. It's called Ink Master Redemption. They have people come in and actually do cover-ups. The artist that did yours did a beautiful cover-up because of the skin tone of the person. The color palette in mine was so dark when that artist came back for Redemption, had to do a completely different tattoo in a completely different location. So yours is gone. Mine will stay on the guy's body. The composition alone looks weird. If you actually look at it, it looks like he's got a nipple hanging out the side of his mouth.
I mean, well, yes, with the Redemption, the tattoos can be changed. That is in life, because I mean, if the guy really wanted to, he could go to a laser thing and get the whole tattoo removed and get someone else to do the tattoo properly if he really wanted to. So the fact that he hasn't chosen to do that, he must really like that tattoo. Must think it looks pretty good.
Actually, do you know what laser removal for a tattoo is? It's roughly $3,000 or $4,000. No. And as dark as it was, it would take multiple. They said to get a laser removed would take roughly $12,000 to $16,000. And I don't know about you, but I don't have that kind of change sitting around in my back pocket. If I'm going to go to somebody who's supposed to do a good tattoo, first off, you have to know what you're getting when you walk into a tattoo shop. If you're going to look at it, he puts a stencil on. The artist alone should have been, oh, this just doesn't look right. But no, he went ahead and did it. Your hula girl, her face is jacked up. That's about it. That could have been corrected by the artist before they put it on. Mine, the color palette doesn't match. If you actually look closely at it, it blends into his skin tone. If you get a tattoo, you want it to be noticeable, not this big blob that looks like a half monkey, half jackass, half nutsack like mine.
But once again, if he really wanted to get rid of it, he went onto the show in which he knew what he was getting himself into. He knew that there's a chance that the tattoo is probably going to look ugly because it's a reality show. Anything is possible. He could have went to the producers and go, look, if you can't get this tattoo, at least pay for my laser removal. He could have got it removed if he wanted to.
Okay, he could have gone to the producers and said that, but he could have also gone, you know what, this tattoo doesn't look right, and gone up and walk away. Your artist actually, mine was being tattooed on the chest. Yours is on the leg, so that can be seen. Why didn't halfway through your artist go, wait, or even, just a slight shading? If you look at it, her face is busted and her hand's wrong. Mine, everything about it, the composition to the color palette to the location is wrong.
Time.
Considering
All
I have
right. All right, as we move on to the minute closing, Malcolm, we're going to go ahead and start off with you. 1 minute to close out this argument. Time starts when you start talking.
Yeah, I mean the hula girl tattoo looks terrible, and it really does. And it was terrible enough that it had to be changed. But with the baboon thing, as my opponent pointed out, they tried to get it changed, but it failed to be changed. He could have gone to the producers and got it moved. As far as you know, he's still walking around with that tattoo on his chest. And so, so he must really like that tattoo if he hasn't bothered to do anything to get it removed. And I concede the last 8 seconds.
Conceding the last 10 seconds. Matt, 60 seconds on the clock. Time starts when you start talking.
Malcolm says that his tattoo is busted overall. If you actually look at the tattoo, if you cover up her face, her hands, and her back foot, it's actually a good tattoo. Artist composition was a little off, but the color palette, the the design and the location were actually fairly good. If you look at mine, it's a complete dumpster fire. The color palette's wrong. It's too dark for the human canvas's area. It's put on wrong. It looks like the baboon's got a giant zit coming off of its chin. If you look closely at the mouth, the teeth, the anatomical structure of the teeth doesn't line up. The jaw doesn't line up. If you look inside the mouth where the tongue should be, it's rolled back into a nutsack. It does not look like a baboon. It looks like a cross, as they said, a monkey and a wolf. Mine was too dark to be covered up or laser removed. Malcolm's tattoo was brought in and corrected.
Time. All right. Interesting arguments. Interesting question. Whoever wrote that question deserves a raise or something. I don't know about y'all, but I really like that question. So,
and we don't get paid here at TMG, so I guess you can have a raise to 0.
Dang it! All right, Ryan, we're gonna go and start off with you. Who gets your point, Ryan, and why?
I feel like I was brought in the wrong match here because there's just so many topics. I feel like a kid in class with a dunce hat on his head. It's like, what? I'm sorry, what was that? No, I'm kidding. Honestly, it's a good thing that the photos were brought up before the arguments began so we can get a better idea on how to form our opinions here. And let's see. Okay. Personally, I don't know what was the point of bringing in the Redemption show because I'm going to be honest, Matt, bringing in Ink Master Redemption kind of was like a double-edged sword for you. While it helped prove your point that the baboon tattoo was just too much of a mess for it, but then at the same time, the fact that Malcolm's hula tattoo was also able to be repaired or at least changed to where it looked better, like I said, it's a double-edged sword there. It hurts you, but and it helped you at the same time. So it was pretty. It was a risky move to pull. But Malcolm, you really were struggling on this one, trying to counteract what Matt was bringing in because he was throwing a lot of technicalities at you with the color palette of the baboon. The only time he was able to fully get you on your hula girl was when he brought up just the physical features. And I'm sorry, Matt. When you said just cover up her hands and her ankle and her nose, she looks pretty good. I'm like, what are you, a frat? Were you a frat guy in college? But no, other than that, I mean, other than a little side gag, Matt, you brought in more knowledge. You brought in more descriptions of your tattoo to show exactly how bad it was, also with the placement on where it was on this guy's chest. And even though Malcolm did knock you down that this is a reality show, they kind of knew what they were getting involved in, but ultimately it just wasn't enough to win him this. So, Matt, you get the point.
All right, so Matt getting the first vote. Alan, we are moving on to you. Does Matt get the point and win, or do I have to decide this thing?
Well, I'm gonna say to kind of go off what Ryan said a little bit about that. Yeah, Matt, that was dirty bringing in the other show because technically, while it helped your case a little bit, it still was bringing an outside thing that wasn't related to this show itself. So it was a bold move, but I thought it was a little dirty move. But you had way more technical aspects of why your tattoo was worse in combination with just the aesthetic of it looking terrible. It didn't look like it was supposed to look like. And then Malcolm kind of couldn't recover from that. So, Matty, you're getting a point.
And with that, and your winner, Matty G, Matt Graham. Again, because my point does not matter, I was leaning the same way. Question was, what is the ugliest tattoo? Matt, you were able to give that tattoo some redeeming qualities with the hula girl. Although I do love how throughout the argument she got uglier and uglier with cover up her face, it's a great tattoo, and then cover up her face and her hands, it's a great tattoo. And then, hey, let's cover up all those and let's cover up her foot also.
Hold on, 30 seconds. Hold on. I was waiting for him to drop a paper bag joke because, like, next maybe the way he made better was just cover her face with a paper bag and tattoo artwork.
Yeah, I will agree with Alan and Ryan that the redemption was a double-edged sword because there were some points for you. There were also some points against you. I also was not a big fan of the point you made about location because you said hers was the hula girl was on the leg where they should have been able to see it, whereas yours is on the shirt. You can cover up a shirt tattoo. Like I have a tattoo on my back. Hardly anyone's seen it because I wear a shirt almost all the time. Whereas the leg, everyone's going to see it. It's not noticeable. It's super noticeable. There were a couple points that you shot yourself on. Unfortunately, Malcolm wasn't able to capitalize. And Malcolm, this is where studying for these questions really goes in handy because his big thing was color palette and location. That tattoo, the baboon face, was a cover-up tattoo. So he was very restricted onto what he could do location-wise and also color-wise because he had to cover it up. So those are just a couple points that could have been made to really combat that. But that is a story for another day. With that, Matt does get the win as we move on to post-match interviews. Matt, how are you feeling after pulling out that victory?
Relieved. There was a few times that Malcolm had me on the ropes. Honestly, that Disney Plus Hulu one, when he threw in there they have various movies that maybe in other countries they don't, or the fact that Hulu is limited, definitely had me on the ropes. But to get this win feels good. Now I'm batting, 500. If this was Major League Baseball, I would be, looking pretty good right now. But no, this was fun. Malcolm, I hope we get to do it again sometime.
All right. And then the question I love asking everyone, is there anyone in the late TV fights world that you would like to compete against?
I don't care.
You do not care. Okay. Well, again, we are currently on the road to Scratch and Claw number 2 to find someone to take on Joe Fairley. So there's definitely going to be someone that you go up against, and hopefully you can keep winning so you can get your redemption against Hot Fuzz himself. Now we're going to go ahead and move on to Malcolm. Malcolm, great job tonight. You had 4 great arguments, just not as good as Matt, but still very good. You did a great job. How are you feeling after that?
I mean, honestly, I'm feeling good. I would have been pissed at myself if I'd lost the Glee question because I love that show. It was the only one I really felt confident in. I've never once seen an episode of True Blood, so I knew I was going to be on the up shit creek without a paddle there, just because I came to that conclusion because I just googled terrible moments in True Blood, and that was one of the ones that came up. And I didn't think about looking up the aesthetics of having a tattoo for Eggmaster. I just thought, oh yeah, I know the show. I've googled the tattoos. I'll be fine. So yeah, but I'm fine. It is what it is. Matt just argued better. He clearly knew those shows better than I do. So definitely.
And then the question that I love asking everyone, is there anyone in the late TV fights world that you would like to take on to try to get your first win against?
Honestly, I really have no idea who's down around this area anymore. Whoever is there who wants either an easy win or give me someone easy that I can beat. I don't care. Just give me better questions.
Damn.
Better questions. Whoa.
Shots fired.
I mean, hey, if you don't like the questions, you shouldn't have left. I mean, it's your fault for stepping down and making me take over. So I will get someone out there for you, Malcolm, and I will try to get better questions. Maybe not Ink Master related. We'll see how it goes in the future. But with that, I have been your 33rd favorite dad in the family community, Papa West, Jacob West. That has been Malcolm. That has been Matty G. You can't see my thumb. There it is. I am actually pointing. And then, of course, my two favorite people down below me, Alan and Ryan. This has been Late TV Fights. Y'all have a good one. Stay safe. Or not. I don't care. I'm not your dad. But I could be your papa.